Hey everybody, it's Benny One, and I'm back at you with another movie review, everyone. And I am going to start rewatching the Kevin Smith movies, everybody. I'm going to try and rewatch and review all of Kevin Smith's movies. I know he's made he's made a few movies that I haven't even heard of. I've heard of most of them, and I've seen most of them. But yeah, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to review them. And of course, today we're starting off with his first movie, and that is Clerks, everybody. The first Clerks, and we're getting Clerks 3 very, very soon, which I love and think is just awesome as shit that we're getting a third movie in this damn Clerks franchise. And from Kevin Smith, man, I've been a big fan of Kevin Smith basically since about 2009, 10-ish. I remember seeing like this movie and Clerks 2 and like Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Like those were the movies that I saw of his back like when I was in high school and stuff. And so, but I really started to like, I watched him on YouTube, and like when he would like talk about movies and do like, and specifically the Batman movies, like the first 4 Batman movies is what turned me on to him, just like as a person on YouTube and stuff. He's hilarious talking about these movies and about this character that he loves, because he's a comic book nerd that smokes pot. Like and he's a filmmaker, and he's just a cool, chill guy. So yes, we're gonna dive into Kevin Smith's movies and we're gonna review these bad boys, and I'm excited to do this because I actually enjoy his movies. I do think he's a pretty underrated film director. I do. Yes, he's not making the greatest movies ever in the world, but I do think his movies get trashed on a lot more than they probably should. So, now that we're done with all that and explaining what's going on here, we're going to talk about Clerks. And it came out in 1994, everybody. And of course, this movie is directed by Kevin Smith. It was his first movie. He was a film school dropout. He dropped out of film school right before he decided to make this movie, actually. And then he went and got his job back at the Quick Mart. That is in this movie. Literally, like the location of this movie is where Kevin Smith actually worked in his hometown. This movie was filmed in his hometown in New Jersey. It literally was filmed at this Quick Mart place that he literally worked at. And this movie is full of up-and-coming actors and Kevin Smith's friends. And even his mom is in a scene in this movie. That's right. His mom had to fill in because somebody didn't show up. And she's in the scene where the lady's on the floor going through all the dates with the milk and everything. That's Kevin Smith's mom. And he has friends in this movie like Walt Flanagan. If you've ever seen Comic Book Men, he's the guy that runs the Jay and Silent Bob's The Secret Stash comic book store. That's Walt Flanagan. He plays a bunch of different random people that just come into the store when Randall is working and like shit like that. It's just, I love that he had his group of people help him make this movie. I think it's really cool. And to go back to tell how this movie got made, Kevin Smith decided that he was going to make this movie, and he sold his whole comic book collection, and he went into credit card debt. And he was able to get a little over $27,000. I think it was like $27,500. I'm not sure the exact. I know it was a little over $27,000 to make this movie. And he literally was in debt when he decided to go and put the money into making this movie, which is just hilarious to me. So that he did that, and it ended up paying off over time. He did have to work really hard to get this movie out and in the public eye. Like, he had to work. Like, Miramax did not want this movie at first. Like, they did not pick it up. And then after time, when it got showed at independent film, like, little festival things, then finally, like, the head dude at Miramax was in a screening with the full audience and realized they made a mistake and they actually needed to pick this movie up. And then they bought the movie for, like, I think it was $200,000 more than what he paid to make it. So he tripled his money, by selling the movie to Miramax to put out in the public eye. Like, so it ended up paying off for him, but it took a minute. It took a minute. So to me, this movie is, I would say, in a way, kind of what really ignited the independent film section of Hollywood. Like, there were independent films before this, but this one really got the independent film recognition. Like, Kevin Smith won an award at one of these independent indie film convention things after this movie was out. Like, he got this young up-and-comer director award thing. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but like, this really ignited his career as a director, and he went on to make some pretty good movies after this, actually, too, and had some clout in Hollywood as a writer. Like, he was approached to write the Tim Burton Superman movie, for Christ's sakes, just shortly after this shit. So yeah, I think when I think of independent films, this is always one that comes to my brain, like right off the bat. It's black and white. It's filmed in black and white. Said why I'm doing this in black and white, just to honor the movie. It's super low budget. It's all dialogue driven. This movie is all dialogue driven, but the dialogue between our main two characters in this movie, Randall and freaking Dante, amazing. Like, amazing. It's funny, the banter, and Dante and Randall are two completely different people. Dante is played by Brian O'Halloran, and Randall is played by Jeff Anderson, who I don't remember seeing either of these guys really in too much anything else after this. But yeah, they're the two main characters. Dante works at the Quick Mart place, and he gets called in on his day off. Like, he literally falls out of his closet, and he gets called in on his day off by the owner, who said he's going to show up later. He just needs him to fill in because the opener didn't show up. And the whole thing, the little comment that gets drug out throughout the entire movie, I'm not even supposed to be here. Like, Dante constantly is saying that when shit's going wrong. People are being rude to him. And that's another thing too, is like, for me, who's somebody who's worked in like retail and just the service industry in general, whether it's fast food. I worked at Walmart for 10 years. I work at a local fancy ass grocery store now. Like, I've worked in the service industry for a long time, and I can totally dive into this movie and get how Dante is reacting to these people coming into this Quick Mart and just treating him like shit and being rude. You got weird people, you got nice people. I feel like they really captured that whole aspect of working in places like that amazingly. I think that it was brilliant how they captured all that. Because you got Dante, who's just this pushover guy, and he's pissed that he's working on his day off. The only thing he has planned is he's got this hockey game he's got to go to at 2, but yet he just doesn't want to be at work, and he's mad. And then you got Randall, who works at the local video rental store, which is right next door, which Kevin Smith and those guys actually used that to edit the movie. So they literally just did everything right in this little location, and it's just awesome. I just think it's funny. But you have Randall, who doesn't give a shit, says whatever the hell he wants on his mind. He doesn't even care who's around, treats customers like shit. I've worked with people like that. I have. This movie is real. It is real life. It's how people that work at places like that, when rude people come in, that is exactly what's going on. That's exactly what they're thinking. And how Randall is saying things about people, he's like, fuck them. Like, they did that. It's all real life. Like, that's what's so cool about this movie. And it's funny. This movie is hilarious, you guys. It's just hilarious. And yes, it's dialogue driven. There's no action. It's a slow paced movie, but it's funny. And the banter and the wittiness of all of it is just hilarious to me. Like when Dante is going off about his girlfriend when he found out that she gave 37 guys head and everything. Like, he just won't stop. 37! 37! And the guy that's buying something's like, what? And he's like, my girlfriend sucked off 37 guys. It's funny shit. This is an adult movie, a very adult movie. And of course, you can't go without mentioning Jay and Silent Bob. That's right. Jason Mewes, Kevin Smith's longtime friend, even though at the time, they were not really good friends at the time when he was trying to get Jason to be Jay in this movie. They weren't really good friends at the time, but then they most definitely became friends. Then you got Kevin Smith, who plays Silent Bob, who only speaks in this movie one time. And if you watch any other movies that Silent Bob's in, there's always one scene where Silent Bob says something when it's important. And that happens in this movie, and it happens in any of the other movies that Silent Bob is in. And I love it. I love that Kevin Smith made a silent character for him to play in all of his own movies. I think it's funny and creative and smart in a way, because then he really doesn't even have to act. He just has to be silent and stand there and smoke while Jay is doing crazy shit, doing crazy dances and saying outlandish shit to people. And it's just, they're funny because Jay and Silent Bob are in most of Kevin Smith's movies. So, but yeah, and I love the black and white aesthetic. I like it. And the thing that I love about when I was reading more about this movie is that everyone that worked on this movie had jobs and they would go work during the day. And the thing is with Kevin Smith filming at this Quick Mart that he worked at, the owner literally was like, yeah, you could film in my store, but here's the thing, you have to do it after we're closed. Hence the shutters on the windows being closed because the store's closed, and they needed to make it believe that some of this shit was shot at night, a little bit during the day. They only could film when the store was closed. So they put that into the story about how there's some gum in the track of the metal door shutters that's covering the front of the store, and it's stuck and you can't get it open. So they wrote that into the story of the movie. Just that kind of shit to get around things so that you can shoot a movie is smart and just genius, man. Genius. So this first Clerks movie, I think it's hilarious. It's a funny movie, and it kick-started Kevin Smith's directing career in Hollywood. Like, he's went on to make a bunch of movies since then, and it's a really funny movie, you guys. And if you haven't seen Clerks, you should check it out for sure. You most definitely should check it out because it's one of Kevin Smith's best directing outings for sure. So I'm going to give Clerks a 9 out of 10, everybody. That's right. It is a really good movie for me. I love it. I think it's funny. So 9 out of 10, everybody, for Clerks. I hope you guys enjoyed that review. I thank you for watching, and I'll be catching you on the tube later because I have spoken.